welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. Emily Morgan here with Delegate Solutions. Today I'm excited to introduce you to Stephanie Thoma. And here's why I'm excited to introduce you to Stephanie. One, we have the same Colby score, which is super rare. So we're both 6'7", 6'2", and it's one of the reasons that we were introduced to each other. And two, she's an expert on being confident as an introvert, which I am an introvert, and this is something that I struggle with all the time. And I think entrepreneurs might not think of themselves in that way. So I think she's got a lot of cool things to share. But welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you for having me. Hello.
Yeah, I was curious, what is your Myers-Brigg type?
Last time I took it was 2 years ago, INTJ, but I was kind of on the cusp for a few of them. So I do take it with a grain of salt, but yeah, what are you?
I'm ISFJ. So we're the same beginning and end for sure.
Oh, nice.
Interesting. I thought, oh my God, if we have the same Myers-Brigg, that is just
then that's weird. Next level. I know. What else is the same? We have to go into astrology, moon sign, sun sign.
Gemini. I don't know about you.
Oh yeah, no. Well, Virgo's my regular sign.
Very cool. Well, welcome. So Stephanie is a Forbes-featured leadership and life coach. She's a certified hypnotherapist and a best-selling author of a new book it's a networking book called The Confident Introvert. Woohoo!
There it is.
Very cool. And she's facilitated over 1,000 events and really is trying to help people generate more meaningful connections with themselves and others. And today, she's helped thousands of people celebrate their strengths, step into their authentic confidence, and make meaningful connections, even speaking at places like Harvard and also doing one-on-one coaching. So welcome.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so today we're talking about owning your confidence as an entrepreneur. So what inspired you to write your book? I mean, that's so exciting. I'm working on the same. What inspired you?
Yes, thank you. So it's one of those things oftentimes when we know we want to be an author, but there's a question of what do I want to write about? So instead of reinventing the wheel and starting completely from scratch, I had some time late 2019, not knowing what was coming in terms of all the downtime to come, but I carved out some time to be able to focus on, I want to write a book. What is that book going to be about? And, I had just been touring Networking for Introverts, a workshop across the country, internationally, and I had some recordings of that session and Q&A. So I had those transcribed. And yes, I mean, basically what shorter version of what prompted writing the book was knowing that I wanted to make this information accessible to people who couldn't necessarily attend a workshop or a webinar, just based on everything that I've learned over attending and hosting 1,000 events and not always feeling like I had complete social grace, but trial and error, learning, hey, this is what works, this is what doesn't. And most importantly, this is how I preserve and conserve my energy to be able to show up fully when I need to and when I want to.
Yeah, totally. I've been kind of touring. The book that I'm thinking about writing is called Delegation is an Energy Management System. So I know that, you're very focused on energy as well, but as an introvert, what are some of the strategies that you're using or you recommend to conserve energy for those of us that need to recharge in private?
Yes. Okay. So first of all, if there's any shame about needing more downtime, let's discard that. Let's embrace the fact that, hey, if you're introverted, all it means you can be confident, but you just need a little bit more downtime. Maybe your energy reserves will get depleted by a lot of external stimuli. So first of all, just embracing that and knowing that. So I have a few different ways that I love to go about conserving energy that I use in my life, that are presented in the book, that my clients use. So one of them is called a Solitude Sandwich. Okay. So yeah, it's this concept where, let's say, the middle of the sandwich, we could call it the peanut butter, is your activity. It could be a presentation that you're giving. It could be a meeting that you're in. It could be an interview. And then on either end, the pieces of bread are your solitude. So that's your downtime where maybe you're going on a walk. Maybe you're stretching. You're doing something that's not necessarily just another event or another Zoom call.
Yeah.
And what that does is, I would highly recommend playing around with different ratios of how much time before and after you need to be able to feel like you're not drained and like your energy is at a level that you want it to be. So then let's say at the end of the workday, you're not wondering to yourself, okay, I've just been sitting in the same chair for 8 hours and I feel exhausted. It's like, no, you've had some movement, you've been introduced some time away from the screen. I always advocate for that, to be able to feel fully energized. So there's a Solitude Sandwich, and I'm going to present 2 more concepts. So next up is the daily 3-2-1. So the daily 3-2-1 has 3 parts, and it begins with 30 minutes of reading, 20 minutes of journaling, and 10 minutes of meditation. And this is a practice. You can do it first thing in the morning, last thing at night, maybe during your midday slump. And it's a tech-free hour that enables you to disconnect from technology and connect more deeply within yourself to be able to have access to greater reserves. I love to do it before bed because getting away from blue light, especially in the hours before bed, helps with sleeping more soundly, which again is really good for energy. One non-negotiable for me is having a 9-hour sleep opportunity, and then chances are I'll have 8 actual hours of sleep from that.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's 2, and then the third is the tech-free code of 111. So that's a fancy way of saying unplug from tech, get out into nature. So I advocate for this 1 hour a day. So you can do the daily 3-2-1 for that. And 1 day per week, which can be a little more tricky, but getting out, going to a park, having your plane on airplane mode, and then 1 week out of the year. So that can be by going to a retreat or doing a DIY, even at home retreat, where you decide, technology is going away and I'm just going to exist and be, and ideally have some interaction with nature, even if it's just watering your plants.
That's what I do. And I go see my chickens.
Oh my gosh, your chickens. I grew up with chickens. That's awesome. Do they wake you up in the morning too?
No, we don't have
roosters. I guess roosters would do that.
We don't have roosters, but that's like how because I have a hard time. I'm like so in the zone all day, and then I have to just find a way to stop and go outside, and I'll like go see the chickens just to like shut my brain off. So I totally get what you're saying with that.
Yeah, in the flow.
So what are some of the strategies that you recommend to reframe some self-limiting beliefs that introverts might have?
Yes. Okay. So oftentimes being introverted, one of the experiences that I had growing up was being in classroom settings and having kids in my classmates asking me, why are you so quiet? And there was this, low-key judgment of showing up in a way that wasn't necessarily like, everyone, look at me, So I'm sure that's something that a lot of introverts have experienced, this sense of maybe labels being put on them, and maybe the connotations of those labels are not very positive, and feeling self-conscious about how you naturally show up. So I've always naturally been a little bit more reserved, but I've gotten more comfortable over time at decoupling introversion from confidence, which has allowed me to conserve my energy and show up differently. But yeah, we'll kind of go to some concepts that you can use to reframe those self-limiting beliefs. So one of them is called Your Big Light Secret. And this is in my book, Confident Introvert. And your big light secret is the thing that you think you're bad at. It's the thing that, I'm sure you've heard the adage of sometimes your greatest weakness is also your greatest strength. It goes along that vein where it's all about how we define the thing that we think we're bad at. So the example that I use in the book is having this belief that, oh, I'm a bad dancer. And it stemmed from getting kicked out of ballet class as a toddler. Okay. So that's pretty deeply rooted. Right. When you're not good enough as a ballerina, so it was, but I knew, I'm like, wait a second, I know I'm graceful, but I think for me, I ended up identifying what was it that I wasn't great at. And it's like, oh, maybe I just didn't want to follow the directions. So then I began to revisit dance as an adult and came upon ecstatic dance and
Okay.
meditation movement where it's free form. No one's saying, put your foot here, then put your foot there, then move your hand like this. I got to move how I wanted to move. And for me, dance, it's something that I've grown to really enjoy and like when it's less about how it looks and following direction in dance, and when it's more about, hey, I'm going to express myself and do it on my own terms. So yeah, just kind of when you're defining dance as line dancing or choreographed dance, then you might have a certain experience of that thing. But when you redefine it as, oh, but there are other ways of defining or thinking about the exact same thing, and that's actually something that's empowering and that's a strength. So, I mean, that's one example, but thinking about anything that you view as being your weakness, something you're not good at, that either you thought you weren't good at, people told you weren't good at, and looking at it through that different lens. And yeah, my book walks through different steps to break that down more fully. And yeah, another one. So this is a concept that came about while I was coaching a client, and I'm really excited to share the concept of a Coinbridge.
Okay.
So let's say that one side of the coin, picture a coin, it's a quarter. One side of the coin is a self-limiting belief. It's a negative belief. And this belief can be, I'm not good enough. So that's, nice and vague. Many of us might relate to that in some capacity for some reason. And then on the flip side of the coin is, I'm amazing. And what a lot of people try to do with affirmations and mantras is go straight to the other side, like flipping a coin without the bridge. So they're just, looking in the mirror saying, I'm amazing, and not believing it.
Mm-hmm.
And then feeling this sense of imposter syndrome because, okay, I'm saying the thing, but it doesn't feel true yet. So for those of us that are more logically minded, that are kind of thinking this through and saying, okay, wait, this doesn't feel right yet. How long will it take? How long do I tell myself this before it becomes real? I recommend the Coinbridge. So what the bridge is it's a more neutral statement that helps you get from heads to tails. So for example, using this example of, I'm not good enough, I'm amazing, I'm okay. So this is a super basic example where, and even you might even look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm okay, and still think, not true. But it's going to be easier to begin to internalize that statement. And once you begin to internalize that statement, that becomes your heads. And then there's less of a journey to your tails of beginning to fully integrate and embody that belief of being amazing. It becomes more accessible to you because you're taking more incremental steps. And of course, through things like hypnotherapy, there can be more rapid change and rapid results. But this is a tool that I recommend to people that want to begin to do a DIY method to transforming self-beliefs.
Yeah, I was thinking you were going with visualization too. I do that a lot of the time too. Like if it's maybe something I don't believe about myself, if I can visualize myself, like if you can see it, you can do it type mindset. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Ooh, visualization. Yes. Okay. So this is something through the lens of hypnosis. So when I work with clients with one-on-one coaching, one of the modalities that I use is hypnotherapy because I'm a trained hypnotherapist. And something that we heavily, that we use a lot, especially when it comes to these grand goals and ambitions, where maybe there isn't a totally clear path to get there just yet, but there is this vision. So it's a matter of not just not being vague with the vision, getting very specific and actively engaging in what are the emotions that you're feeling. That's the most, first and foremost. What are the scents what are you smelling? What are you physically feeling? Just having that full sensory experience, which can be a little bit more accessible when you're in a meditative state that's a little bit more open and trusting. Yeah, so I highly recommend if you do have a goal of, so for example, one of my clients is in the process of writing her memoir. And what we're working on with her visualization is visualizing the book launch. What is she wearing? What are people telling her about the book? The people who were, let's say, the advanced readers that are getting to meet her and engage with her at Q&A. So yeah, these are certainly things that can help bridge that gap between what our current reality is and what we would like our idealized version of reality to be.
Yeah, I'm gonna use that for my book because,
Yes.
like I said, I'm working on it, but I think visualizing, the end result is really a great strategy. So I want to throw you a little curveball, which is
Yes.
Sasha Fierce, right?
Oh
We
yeah.
talked about that from the first time that we met, and this idea that as introverts, so those of you that don't know what Sasha Fierce is, it's Beyonce's alter ego, and it's how Beyonce goes out and becomes Beyonce on the stage as she puts on this alternate personality. Or you could probably explain it better than me, but like how have you seen people apply that to, being an entrepreneur or tackling something that they're really scared of, and then why does that work from your standpoint?
Yes. Okay. So Sasha Fierce is Beyonce's alter ego, which basically, so Beyonce is an introvert,
Mhm.
and most people wouldn't think that because of the energy that she has on stage and the confidence. And again, that's why we're decoupling confidence from introversion, because
Yeah.
introverts can absolutely be confident. Take a look at Beyonce, but she gets into a different mindset when she's on stage. She's like, okay, this is a different version of myself. And that is what gives her permission to show up in that super fierce way. And I'm not an advocate of fake it till you make it, because
Mhm.
I think that we are multifaceted. So, for example, Sasha Fierce is real. She exists within Beyonce and she comes out on stage.
Yeah.
So, if there's a certain way that we'd like to show up in terms of, let's say, presenting, let's say, at a meeting at work and not having our voice shake, we have full permission to think about, okay, what is not necessarily an alter ego, but what's a part of myself that maybe just isn't showing itself yet. And feel free, yeah, you can give it a name and write out, okay, what sort of characteristics does she have and how would she show up in this situation. And if you don't feel empowered yet to show up in that way in your life, when you're in a situation, sometimes you can, instantaneously say, okay, how would Sasha Fierce
Mhm.
act in this situation? And then through repetition, through activating this sort of character that you've created that is a part of yourself, anything that we can imagine, this is very Walt Disney right now, can be real.
Right.
Then yeah, that's a step
Yeah.
to take, to being the person that you'd like to be, that visualization and that embodiment of our idealized versions of ourselves.
I love all the steps that you're sharing to actually decouple from it and to really maybe like block time to prepare for big events by understanding your sort of tendencies as an introvert. All good stuff. So, what else are you working on that you'd like to share?
Yes. Okay. So I am currently in the process of working on launching a new community and a podcast. It's called Own It.
Oh, cool.
So, yeah, it's all about self sovereignty and knowing what you stand for and shedding labels that others have put on you, or maybe that you accidentally put on yourself, and getting to the root of, okay, what kind of legacy and impact would I like to leave and make? And the first step is having that sense of internal clarity, knowing, and love, and then connecting with others, rising into that leadership potential with conviction, standing for that thing that you own. So yeah, I would highly encourage your audience, if they're thinking, oh wait, like that's interesting,
Hmm.
then go to facebook.com/groups/own it club, and it's currently waitlisted, but I'll definitely add you once it becomes active.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's the big thing. And then yeah, the podcast that will be active in months to come, is about highlighting people who are currently owning it and going through that sort of journey that people go through to discover that and live that. Um, and and yeah, so
I love
that's pretty
it.
much what we're working on right now.
I'm going to sign up for it. Very cool.
Yeah.
And I know you said you have a freebie or something you'd like to share.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you. So go to stephaniethoma.com/freebie for your free confidence activating subconscious meditation. Say that 10
Ooh.
times fast. But
Ooh.
anyway, yeah, I know it's like, so basically it's a free 3-week program that's only 10 minutes a day that will help transform your relationship with yourself and
Awesome.
begin to help shed those limiting beliefs, through that practice?
I meditate every morning for at least 10 minutes, so I will be going and trying yours because I just finished mine, my
Oh,
series,
that's
so
awesome.
I will try it out. Thank you. And how do people get in touch with you otherwise?
Yes. Okay. So I'm on social media. You can just look up Stephanie Thoma. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Clubhouse. Those are some where I'm the most active right now. And also to have some one-on-one time to talk through potential coaching together. Then where you'll want to go to is stephaniethoma.com/coaching.
And who's an ideal client for you? Just to give you a little more plug.
Yes. Okay. So I typically work with millennial women who are in the process of some sort of transformation where maybe there's been a nugget planted, a sort of idea of, wait, is this possible for my life? Or maybe I've been going in this certain trajectory, but is this all there is? There's got to be something more. Or there are patterns that
Yeah.
are repeating in your life, in your relationships, in your work life that are not serving you and you don't know how to make them stop. That's where this work comes in, this leadership and life and hypnotherapy bundle work that I do with my clients helps transform those patterns into self-awareness and self-empowerment to then begin to feel connected with yourself and knowing who you are, what you stand for, and then connecting with other people, networking, but, making friends.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, rising into leadership and having a sense of thought leadership and authority in your space.
So cool. I love your work. I think it's really going to be very impactful, the stuff you're working on. So thank you for sharing it. And if you want to get in touch with Stephanie, like she said, her website, and are you accepting clients for coaching?
I currently am. Yeah. So this new Own It program, it's launching in March. So I will have 2 openings. So yeah, it'll be a great time to get in touch with me.
So fun. Thank you for sharing your brilliance. And are you doing this stuff on Zoom or does it have to be in person? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah, we could talk for 20 minutes about that. But yeah, short answer, it's on Zoom.
Awesome.
Everything is virtual right now.
Good for you. Well, congratulations. And again, thank you for sharing. I know I'm an introvert, so I'm always intrigued by what you're working on. So thanks again.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.